Good day, class. How's your day today? Do you still remember what our previous topic is? We will use those concepts in our lesson today. I am your teacher, Hazel May. But before that, let me read first our learning objectives for today's discussion. First, understand and apply the rules for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Second, perform step-by-step operations of integers using correct signs and procedures. Third, simplify numerical expressions involving integers using number properties and order of operations. And last, demonstrate confidence and persistence when solving integer problems. But before we proceed to our lesson proper, let us first have our energizer. So it is called integer jump. So class, are you all ready? So it looks like you are all ready. Let's begin. So the direction of our game is, if the answer is positive, jump forward. If the answer is negative, jump backward. And if the answer is 0, stay at your place and laugh. So the first equation is negative 3 plus 7. Do the action in 3, 2, 1, go. The correct answer is correct, positive 4. The next equation is 5 minus 8. 3, 2, 1, go. The correct answer is correct, negative 3. For the last equation, we have 4 minus 4. 3, 2, 1, go. The correct answer is 0. All of you got the correct answer. Very good. So now, let's proceed to our lesson proper, which is lesson 1.5, adding and subtracting integers. Class, do you know the 4 basic operations? The addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But for now, we will just focus on adding and subtracting integers. Let us first have the adding of integers. Class, do you have any idea on how to add integers? Yes, when we are adding integers, we are finding the sum of 2 or more integers. Always remember that we are just getting the sum of those integers. Take note, the value might increase or decrease depending on its sign. Class, when we are adding integers, we have some rules for that, and we should follow those rules to arrive in the correct answer. First is, when both integers have the same sign, for example, positive plus positive, the answer is positive. If negative plus negative, the answer is negative. When one integer is positive and the other one is negative, we will find the difference of those integers. But remember, we will copy the sign of a number with a higher absolute value. Here are the additional rules for adding integers, those positive and negative whole numbers. Once you know these simple rules, adding integers will be an easy to your class. So let's first is the rule number 1. Rule number 1 is positive plus positive is equal to positive sum. So adding 2 positive number, this one is very easy class because it's just a normal addition. So rule number 2 is negative plus negative is equal to negative sum. Let's proceed to rule number 3, which is positive plus negative is equal to the sign of the number with a larger absolute value. Class, this one might feel a little trickier because adding a positive and negative number have a step. So first, find the absolute value of each number. Then, subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger one. And finally, put the sign of the original number that had a larger absolute value. Here is the example class. We are going to make adding integers even easier by using concrete examples and pictorial examples. So when we say concrete examples or pictorial examples are things you can see and visualize. So let's start first with the first example. So as we can see, the first example is 5 plus 3. Look at the picture. We have 5 red plus signs and 3 yellow plus signs. When we add them together, we're just putting these plus signs in a one group. So let's count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, red 1 plus, and 1, 2, 3, the yellow ones, which give us the sum of 8. So the total is 8. Correct. Class, let us have another example in adding integers. So as we can see, in the left side, there are 7 bits, and the other side is 6 bits. So when we adding this, we can get 13 bits. So using concrete things like bits makes it easy to understand how addition works. So in the previous, we used the concrete example. Next, we are going to use a number line class. So also this is a great tool to visualize addition more. So let's look at the number line here. It goes from -5 all the way to +5. Notice that the arrows that pointing to the right says add, and the arrow pointing to the left says subtract. So when you add a number, you move to the right on the number line. When you subtract a number, you move to the left. Understand, class? For example, class, as we can see in the slide, is 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So let us use the number line to walk through this. So we start at the number 1, right? Now we are adding a positive 2. So remember the rule we learned that adding a positive number means moving to the right on the number line. We take 2 steps to the right from 1. The first step takes us to number 2, and the second steps land us to the right, which is 3. Next example, class, is -1 plus -2. So this time, we start at -1. We are adding negative number, which is -2. So the rule here is adding negative number means moving to the left on the number line. We take 2 steps to the left from -1. The first step takes us to -2. And the second step lands us on -3. So the dots here show that the same thing. Starting at -1, adding 2 more negative steps take us further left to -3. So understand, class? Next class, I'll be showing you on how to add different sides using concrete examples, which is -5 plus 3 is equal to, look at the picture. We have 5 negative signs, the red ones with the minus signs, and 3 positive signs, the yellow ones with the plus signs. So, class, -5 plus 3 is equal to, correct, -2. Earlier, we used the concrete examples in adding different signs. Now, we will use number line in adding different sign. First example is -1 plus 2 is equal to 1. Let us use the number line to see how this works. First, we start at the number which is -1. Next is we are adding a positive number which is +2. So remember the rule in adding positive means moving to the right on the number line. So we move 2 steps to the right from -1. First takes us to 0 and the second step lands on -1. Now class, let's look at the second example. 4 plus -3 is equal to 1. Again, we start at the first number, which is 4. This time, we are adding negative number, which is -3. So the rule here is adding negative means moving to the left on the number line. We move 3 steps to the left from +4. First step is to +3, second is to 2, and the third one is +1. So the answer is correct, +1. Class, that concludes the addition of integers. Before we proceed to another operation of integers, what do you think, class, comes after addition? Yes, subtraction. So today, let's move on to subtracting of integers. Another important operation we use all the time. So class, first let's look at what subtracting integers is. So it is the process of finding the difference between two integers. And here is something interesting. The result can be increased or a decrease in value. So class, it all depends whether the integers are positive or a negative or a mix of both. So subtraction is not always about making things smaller. It is all about the signs of the numbers we are working with. Now, let's talk about the rules for subtracting integers. So the good news is we don't need to learn a whole new set of rules. We can turn subtraction into addition, which we already know how to do. The first rule here is convert the subtraction problem into an addition problem by changing the sign of the sum to hand or the second number. The second rule, class, is once you have turned it into an addition problem, just apply the same rules we learned for adding integers. Whether the numbers have the same sign or different signs, use those addition to find the answer. So in order for you to understand subtracting of integers, let's have this example. Look at the picture. So we can see we have 5 positive signs, the red ones with the plus signs. When we subtract, we are taking away 3 of these positive signs. If we start with 5 and remove 3, how many are left? So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take away the 3. So, how many left? Correct, 2. So here is another concrete example, class. Imagine you are a warrior from a tribe during the Dinagyang festival. On your headdress, there are 8 petals before the festival begins. But as we move around, during the celebration, 2 petals fall off, leaving only 6 petals on your headdress. So class, if you transform this into an equation, will form a, yes, 8 minus 2 is equal to, yes, correct, 6. Another example, class, using concrete example. As we can see in the slides, on the left, we have an image with 4 corners. On the right side, we have one with 2 corners. So when we subtract, we are taking away the number of corners in the second image from the first. So we start with the 4 corners, class, and we subtract 2 corners. So if we take away 2 from 4, how many are left, class? Yes, correct, 2 corners. So 4 minus 2 is equal to, yes, 2. Next, let's look at the pictorial tool we already used in addition. The same goes in subtraction. The arrow pointing to the right says add, and the arrow pointing to the left says subtract. That's the key rule we need to remember. When you add a number, you move to the right on the number line, and when you subtract a number, you move to the left of the number line. Now class, let's put the number line rule into an action with an example. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. So first, we start at the number 3 on the number line. Since we are subtracting 2, we remember the rule, subtract means moving to the left. So we take 2 steps to the left from 3. The first steps take us to number 2. The second step land us right on number 1. That's the answer. Next class, I'll be showing you on how to subtract integers using number line. As we can see in the equation is 5 minus 7 is equal to negative 2. So the first step, class, is we start at the number 5 on the number line. Remember the rule. Subtracting a number means moving to the left or to the right? To the left, correct. And here we are subtracting 7. So we need to take 7 steps to the left from number 5. And that's where we land on negative 2. That's exactly what the answer says. 5 minus 7 is equal to, yes, negative 2. So if we use subtraction rule from earlier, we'd turn 5 minus 7 into 5 plus, change the sign of 7, which is negative 7, adding those gifts as negative 2. Correct. So, they are the same result. To wrap up class, subtracting integers is about finding the difference. And we can make it easy by turning it in addition. Just change the sign of the number being subtracted or the subtrahend. Then, use our addition rules. So class, that's all about adding and subtracting integers. Before we proceed to our next lesson, I have prepared an activity for you to check if you understand our discussion. Please answer this on a 1/2 sheet of paper. Thank you class and enjoy the rest of your day.